How's it going, everyone? Lon here from Android Authority, and this is the Xiaomi Mi Mix 3. It's another flagship Android smartphone with a slider design, and it's very similar in a lot of ways to the Honor Magic 2, which I reviewed not that long ago. So if you guys want to see that, it'll either be linked down in the description or up here in a card. But in my review of the Magic 2, I mentioned that I really liked the slider design, and I pretty much feel the same way about it on the Mi Mix 3. It feels really well made. It has a very satisfying click when you open or close it, and it even makes sound effects that you can customize, which I thought was kind of cool. I will say though that it doesn't feel exactly the same as the slider on the Magic 2. The Mi Mix 3 slider mechanism has a slight wiggle to it, which I did not notice on the Magic 2. Let me show you what I mean. Now, does this make me concerned about the longevity of the slider? Not necessarily. It's just something that I happen to notice because I have used both of these phones now, so I thought it was worth mentioning. Just like the Honor Magic 2, the slider on the Mi Mix 3 allows Xiaomi to hide the front-facing cameras inside of the phone instead of having to worry about putting it somewhere on the front bezels. This means that the front is pretty much all display with very, very minimal bezels. The screen itself does look really nice. It's a quality AMOLED panel from Samsung, so it's very vibrant, very colorful and contrasty, and at 600 nits of brightness, it's pretty easy to see in direct sunlight. I don't think you'll be disappointed with this particular panel. The only real drawback to having this slider design is that the phone is not water resistant, but when you have a moving part like this, it's a lot more difficult to make the phone water resistant. So if water resistance is a feature that is on the top of your priority list when it comes to buying a smartphone, this is probably not going to be a phone that you'll be interested in. It also doesn't have a headphone jack or expandable storage, but the base model starts with 128 gigs of storage, so I don't think it's that big of a deal that it doesn't have a micro SD card slot. It does have a fingerprint sensor, but unlike the Magic 2, which has an in-screen fingerprint sensor, the Mi Mix 3 just has your standard physical fingerprint sensor, which I'm totally okay with, considering that in-screen fingerprint sensors aren't really all that reliable right now or as fast. The rest of the specs though are about as top tier as it gets. It has your typical flagship processor with the Snapdragon 845 and comes with either 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM. There's even a special edition version of the Mi Mix 3 that has 10 gigabytes of RAM, which is just kind of ridiculous. I think the only spec that is a little bit lacking is the battery. It's a 3200 milliamp hour battery, which isn't quite as big as some of the competing flagships on the market, and battery life isn't bad or anything, it's just average. I'm getting around 4 to 4.5 hours of screen on time, which is fine for casual use, but for heavy use, it's not really going to be enough. On the bright side, the phone does support Qualcomm's Quick Charge 4 Plus, and it also has wireless charging if you like the added convenience of being able to charge your phone wirelessly. As far as the software is concerned, it's running Android Pie with MIUI version 10. MIUI has always been a pretty popular skin, so if you like MIUI, I think you'll definitely enjoy the experience on the Mi Mix 3. I'm more of a stock Android kind of guy, but MIUI is pretty pleasant to use. It doesn't feel intrusive, and it uses a color palette that isn't overly bright or cartoony looking. The interface overall actually looks pretty clean, and it comes with a lot of customization options and features like a one-handed mode and gesture controls for quickly launching shortcuts or apps. My favorite part about the Mi Mix 3 is probably the cameras. It has a total of 4 cameras. The front-facing camera is a very high resolution 24 megapixel sensor, and it's paired with a 2 megapixel sensor for portrait mode, studio lighting effects, and AI scene recognition. The 2 cameras on the rear are both 12 megapixels, with the secondary sensor being a telephoto zoom lens for 2x optical zoom, and it also is capable of the same portrait mode, studio lighting, and AI scene recognition. The AI scene recognition is okay to me. It can recognize a bunch of different scenes such as food, plants, landscapes, and as far as I can tell, it just really bumps up the saturation, contrast, and makes the images a little bit brighter. I don't really mind what the AI does to the photos, but photos without AI look perfectly fine to me just the way they are. The camera overall takes really excellent photos. There's plenty of detail, color reproduction is on point, and I'm really impressed with the camera's dynamic range, especially when taking low light or nighttime shots that are filled with a lot of bright lights. Highlights are really well exposed, which helps preserve a lot of the detail. I would say this camera is even on par with something like the Pixel 3. So that pretty much does it for the Xiaomi Mi Mix 3. Overall, I think it's a really great smartphone, and if you live in a region where it's available, it's definitely worth checking out. The slider design is really well done. It has some great specs and some great features. It is missing a few things like water resistance, but when you're dealing with a design like this, you can't expect to have everything. But otherwise, it's a great smartphone. You should definitely check it out. And if you guys enjoyed this video, as always, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And of course, check us out on social media and check the website as well for more in-depth coverage, androidauthority.com. And I will talk to you guys in the next video.